Sorry, Kevin, how pleasing was it to get such a complete performance at such an important time in the season?
Yeah, I think this obviously pleased the performance because listen, it could have been a tricky one. Ipswich had beat Sutton at home and had a couple of other results as well. So pleased in terms of the professionalism and obviously to get some goals as well was the important thing. But listen, the 3 points was the most important at this stage of the season.
I mean, 3 strikers all found the net in that game. How important is it to get them contributing it towards the business end of the season?
Absolutely, yeah. I think important that Charlie got his goal, and obviously the subs come on and done their part as well, which was really important because it gave us another bit of energy, of impetus when they did come on. And disappointing Hops couldn't get one, but he worked ever so hard for the team and come so close. So I'm pleased. I really don't mind where they come from, but when your forwards do score, it gives them confidence because forwards do live off that.
I mean, one final game at Roots Hall for this season, and it's going to be Flag Day with another massive crowd expected. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a number of times this season where we've had big crowds in, and makes for a great atmosphere, and I'm sure it will be again Saturday. And listen, our job's to remain calm and logical and how we go about the game and focus on that. There might be big crowd and a lot of noise, etc. But we've got to focus on the game and do our job, and that's the most important thing. And listen, I think for both teams, it's an important one. So that makes it, it should be a good game. With the atmosphere that should be created as well. But one we've got to stay clear-headed on it and focus on what we've got to do.
We're coming into a game where we can continue our playoff hopes, whereas Wealdstone are at the other end of the table trying to secure their safety in the league. Surely games don't get much bigger than this in this league.
No, I think what the playoffs does, and it carries the season on for a lot of people, and there's still a lot riding on for a number of clubs and both ends of the table, of course. Wealdstone are there, and obviously they need points. We want points as well. So as you say, it's set up. Yeah, it is set up for a good game. And listen, at the same time, you can go anyway, but you want to come out the right side of the result. That's the main thing. Whatever the performances look like this stage of the season, you want to play well, you want to win, but the most important thing is getting results.
Nice one, thanks, Kevin.
Kevin, great to start the week with a 4-0 win away at Ipswich United. How's the rest of the week been unfolding for you?
Yeah, good. Listen, I think at this stage it's rest recovery, and making sure everyone's available, and tailor training accordingly for what's needed, we think. So yeah, we do a bit of match prep today, and everyone, as you should be, expects in good form, but focused on what needs to be done going ahead.
I suppose when you get a win like that, I suppose you wanted to strive for that consistency as well. And so how have you been trying to sort of build on what you got from the Ipswich game going forward?
I don't think we changed too much from when we win or lose or what it looks like. The process is still the same if you want in terms of how we review games, how we plan for the next game going forward. That I think it's important to keep that consistency, and training's pretty normal. In terms of our prep for games and what it looks like. So I think if we remain consistent, then hopefully that plays out when the players cross the white line on Saturday.
Yeah. I remember you saying that it was about the moments, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you feel like I suppose it's one of those games where you feel like it just had to be coming really because you'd had so many chances in games, but then to get that barrage of goals, it just felt like it was coming.
Yeah, and I think that's our job's not to get emotional on results all the time. You can do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you look at the game back, is to take it apart and look at what you've done well, and there's areas you've got to improve, and I think we'll always do that. But we do know there's certain things we do ever so well, and by topping it off is moments in games, as I say, that you need to be better at, and we were Saturday.
I remember you mentioned that sort of like being in the final third as well. Yeah. So something you do a lot, but just having that bit of extra going in. Is that something you've been doing well?
No, we always do. We do loads of stuff in terms of the attacking and what we look like in our build-up and getting to the final third, and without the ball as well. So that's it's pretty normal right throughout the football league and right throughout the league when teams will do similar. But it becomes down to the players and moments in games that they get right, and we've done that. Fortunately for us, actually.
James Morton obviously missed out the Ipswich game. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's just had a whack on his ankle at the end of the Braintree game, so he was unavailable going into Ebbs Fleet. he hasn't trained yet, but we'll see how he is going into tomorrow in preparation for Saturday.
Yeah, and Adam Crowell,
Yeah.
he's best be good. He's getting close. He travelled with the squad.
Yeah, he's training and he's available. So it's good to have him back on board. And the only thing I said was for game minutes in terms of prep and that, but he's doing extra in training every day, so he's up to speed in terms of training wise. Now it's if he's ready to be called upon, I'm sure he will be.
Great to hear what you said about the forwards and the confidence levels of getting a great boost from the FC League game as well. I suppose, like you say, not so much changes in training, but when they're on that, do you sort of say to them as players, keep this going, or are they a very motivated group amongst themselves?
Yeah, I think I've got to say they're really together. As I say, I think it's important for forwards to score goals. I think that whatever you can say performances, they want goals. You can see the boost it gives them, and fortunately they've done that this week. But it's important they keep feet on the floor and keep doing the things that gets you the opportunities. That's the most important thing. But in terms of the group, I mean, they're in a good place off the back of the game, of course. So we're looking forward to it.
A great game to go for a last home game
Yeah.
of the season. Wealdstone coming, obviously we mentioned still scrapping for the National League honours. And when it comes to things on the pitch, what dangers does that bring with them being in that situation?
Yeah, listen, I think it'll be interesting to play out. I think that obviously the timing in the game means both teams will know what's gone on before them, which may play a part. I don't think it changes what we've got to do. But they've got to say done ever so well, and they do well every year in terms of the setup and structure and how they play, and as a club, they're consistent in the message they do and how they play, and I don't think they've ever changed that. And again, they've got themselves in a good position. They've got a lot of good players, a lot of dangerous attacking players. Obviously, Alex Reid scored a lot of the goals for them, and has been really important for them. But one or two that we know ourselves, they can be very dangerous, and we know the threats they've got, and I'm sure we'll look at that, but we've got to focus on ourselves.
Yeah, I like you say that you said it's be consistent. And a new manager came in January, and Neil Gibson base. Will it just be you sort of reflect on the last game you played against Wealdstone away, or is you just looking at it as like a new entity?
Yeah, I don't think we will look at that, but not so much in terms of we'll watch what they've done, and obviously with a different manager, you get different traits and trends of what it looks like. But yeah, they've been pretty consistent what they've done, and so yeah, we'll focus on recent games and stuff like that, and we'll know what threats they have.
A big game as well in the context of Southend season, penultimate game, so close that playoffs. When it comes to mentality of your players, how do you go about managing that as a coach? Is it something you do as like a group, or is it something you try and do one-on-one?
Yeah, listen, I think we'll always do individual stuff with players in terms of the extra training or analysing their games. But yeah, I think that's the group itself will drive standards around the place. I think that's the most important thing. The change room should drive that. We'll obviously have our standards, what we think, and I think that's the most important thing. I think the culture of the football club and what that looks like, and the players running their own changing room should be important. And the standards you keep every day in training, how you train, how you work, and that reflects and should come out in the games. I think that's the most important thing for me.
I think it certainly comes through whenever the message is pretty unequivocal throughout the team. Whenever player it is, they're always saying it's all very much the focus is inside. Well, we get excited about what's going on at the table every time. It's like one game at a time, and you must, based on what you said, must take a lot of pride in the fact that mentality is shared across the whole team.
Yeah, listen, I think it has to, because you can get so up and down in this game, and we can think of last week. I think when people were very disappointed because we've drawn a game, and we've gone and won one. So my job is to be consistent in terms of what we expect on a daily basis. I don't think that'll ever change in terms of standards and what it looks like when you train properly. And listen, you can win games, you can lose games in football, but what you've got to do is have a consistency to your approach and what that looks like.
So if I can ask then, with 2 games to go, 2 points off the playoffs, how much belief is there in this team that they can get over that dotted line?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's always been that. I think we look at, the start of the season and what that looked like for the team and for the club and for ourselves. There was a lot of upheaval, a lot of change, and it takes time. Honestly, it takes time to bed in new players and, a whole change of football club, if you want. So now that we've been managed to get a bit of consistency in terms of personnel, what that looks like for players, I think that's reflecting on the form we've had probably since January-ish. So yeah, we believe, of course we do, but with that belief comes from working hard and make sure we do the basics right, I think, and hopefully you come out the right side of the result.
If I can ask you one more question, so it's slightly away from Southend. Obviously, Danny Ogdenley, who had a trial period at Southend, scored 4 goals for Brentwood in there, winning on the Isthmian North. Is this someone you sort of kept an eye on? That's 43 goals for him with a goals.
Yeah.
Is this someone you've kept an eye on?
No, yeah, someone we know about, of course.
Yeah.
Listeners, there is a number of players throughout the leagues and different levels of the league. But listen, our focus is what's in the building, and come the summer, that's a different story in terms of recruitment and what that looks like. The main focus has to be on there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kevin.
Cheers.
How does the later kick-off change things? And while the players will be warming up, you'll sort of be on your own. Will you be checking the other scores? Or
I think it's impossible not to know what's going to happen. People will tell you, of course. It shouldn't change what we've got to do, in terms of results. And I think whatever game you're going into, you want to win. Even if there's nothing riding on it, your own desire to win should take over, and that shouldn't change. What it might change is atmosphere, mood around the place, but we've got to control that, and control how we play and play with our heads, and that's the most important thing, I think.